Oh, I'm not even alive or awake for this crap in the morning. Are you kidding me? Well, it's about 10 after 5 in the morning. It's only Friday. It's only the 19th of March, 2021. Weaver, John City, Roseman, California. What the hell's going on? Me losing my banana breath and me losing my banana brain, actually, this morning. Yesterday in English 227, Professor Jennings' class, it seems like the good portion of the classmates were doing things concerning about their own mental health and physical health issues. And we're not talking about death, as in one particular English professor in a different class was talking about. He didn't even realize he was opening up a can of worms. The English Lit class I'm taking right now, well, they have sleep-deprived students. They wanted to express themselves in that situation. Trying to tell the class and the rest of the world how they feel considering sleep deprivation, and I understand it. I understand it completely. I know what they're talking about. I take frequent naps in my older age. I should have been having 68 hours of sleep, and sometimes not even that. I used to have it. But I also know what it's like to have about 4 to 6 hours of sleep constant. It's a long time ago, too. And I figure the older I got at this point over here, I've lost the ability to have the 68 hours, what the doctors keep talking about. And the only way to get out of that kind of situation is to screw the damn blood pressure one way or another with medications. And I've got an issue with that one already. The students' cry for help is basically talking about, I can't deal with it because my sleep pattern's screwed up. Well, I know your sleep pattern's screwed up. Been there, done that. Well, how do I know this? You're supposed to be having at least 4 to 6 to 8 hours roughly every single night when you're a young kid. And you're supposed to be going to school about 6, 7 hours a day, which didn't leave you very much for time for socializing, eating, and then whatever, homework, and then sleep, blessed sleep. Coupled with the things happening these days with what I've gone through decades ago. Some people think it may be different. I'm thinking, nah. No. Because we dealt with the same issues back in the 80s as well. Coming out of high school, I didn't have any children to deal with. I didn't have any wives to deal with. No, I had a mother and a brother who was drugged out like crazy, and I had to deal with him. And by the time he started on his road to recovery, I was still starting my life of hell. I had about 4 or 5 classes strong each semester for 2.5 years. And it scared the hell out of me because I could barely keep it up with anything and everything. I wasn't even allowed to drop anything during that time. I had a nightmare to do that. And I'm talking about not me just dealing with my own damn family. My mother was a matriarch, and you didn't count on her. You just didn't. You live under her roof. You live under her rules. You bust your ass. But also, she wasn't going to support me either, so I had to go out there looking for work myself. I had to work part-time. I'd get a little transportation for the family, then I got to pay rent. And have a little jingle for me to continue on with the college. Pay for college all by myself. There was no grants. There were no loans. Nothing. But there was hard work. Of course, I heard about these kind of stories growing up as a kid, but we also didn't have a loan or grant program. My own family didn't have the opportunity I had and wasted it. I didn't give enough time to the studies. I didn't put enough effort into it, but also I kept working. So work kind of screwed things up, and I'm not blaming the work. I'm blaming on myself during that time. The young kid, I should have been doing a hell of a lot more. At least I was told that one with the whip and a chain at that point. Ma wanted me to do the 2.5 years. It was going to be the 2.5 year deal. Again, it seems like I'm blaming her for the damn thing, but it's still on me. And I didn't do as well as I should have done. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So after screwing around with 2.5 years and a GPA lower than the toilet seat, or lower than the septic tank, I got the I got the academic separation letter from this one community college I went to for 2.5 years. You might have heard it. It's called Pierce College. It was out in Woodland Hills. In this particular college, well, I kind of grew up to like during that time. A lot of changes happened and I didn't like it afterwards. Of course, geology has an effect on physical layout. And you had the trustees, a lot of bureaucracies screwing things up left and right. So yeah, left a indelible mark in the memories of that place on my head. But it also tore me apart because I didn't take college seriously enough. I didn't take the courses seriously enough. They were too damn heavy. I keep telling myself about that one. Not as heavy as regular classwork should have been, going through kindergarten 1 through 12. You know how heavy the classes got when you're in junior high and in high school, and you felt it got a little more worse. And how can these be worse? Well, when you get into the college level, it becomes a hell of a lot worse. I have yet to experience the university level of what college work really is. Because I'm still struggling through the community college, and I'm only 55. This is my second time around through the thing, but I've spent a lot more time in community college, taking 2 classes at a time, in order to pace myself. I also know that when I failed 35 plus years ago, I really felt like, I know what I'd like to stigma and the shame of it all, and how to tear myself apart and chew up me and spit me out, and I'm still standing up. I didn't have to chew me up. I was doing that myself. I was turning semi-cannibalistic on myself. I also was trying to learn techniques on how to keep kicking my ass while looking for full-time work at the same time and trying to keep full-time jobs. Not part-time, full-time. Survival and punishment at the same time. I'd gotten to the point where I just didn't care about school anymore. I had been to occupational centers and business schools to get different forms of training out there, but nothing of the academic level. Business school to learn how to work in the business field. That's what I thought. And then there was occupational training of billing and coding and transcription. I was sold the idea of being a transcriber by my mother again. She wanted a lot of things from me. She knew I could do those things. She hoped I would find a better job and a better career to add more money. My mother never had the college experience I had, but she did have constant retraining through tech schools in order to keep up with her education and her level of expertise in doing income tax and bookkeeping. She knew I hated numbers. She knew I was never good at numbers. She knew I was better at writing things down and doing stuff and taking care of her computer work on occasions. try to be our computer guy part-time and working full-time at another company. And I did just schlub work. Not the emptying out the garbage cans. No. General office schlub or call center schlub. 2 or 3 times or 4 times in my life, I think. Retail schlub. So yeah, I've been a real working schlub. But I also know how retail down there killed me too. At the same time, trying to be a full-time caregiver, jumping up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning just to get some midnight snack fixed for my mother. Pomelos or bacon and eggs. Bacon and eggs with toast. And then pomelos. I tried to do that again the next 2 or 3 hours afterwards. Get myself together. Get myself out of the house, work full time. Come back home, dragging my head, my feet, and then expect to take care of my mother and be a relief to my brother. But I'll tell you something, the emotional cost had taken a great toll on me, especially when I invested a lot in my family. When I lost my mother back in 2013, I already lost a job. Not taking care of her, but taking care of the family by doing the full-time work. I worked at Walmart 4 years. No, actually 5 years. 4 of them was working in the automotive department. As a tire guy, basically. I wasn't the installer, I was the guy at the counter. Helping out a customer concerning about a carry-out order, I had a supervisor drop a heavy truck tire on my face. Gander survived. Should have been dead during that time. Didn't. Changed me a lot, a great deal afterwards. Emotional and a hell of a lot of physical trauma. But I still had to take care of my family. I still had to take care of my mother. She was also dying. She passed in 2013. We got evicted out of the damn home we were living in, actually an apartment complex. My brother and I get moved over to Roseman. We had adventures over there. My brother decides he's going to go back to school. He's got enough of his own damn plate. Being disabled, fed as he has. Long story on that one. Too many videos done on that one. The next thing I know, nearly a year he's been going into college work and taking at least 2 or 3 classes. He's having a heart attack. He can't continue. But during that time, he'd already got my foot in the door. And the last semester he was attending over to college. We were going through a history course together. Prior to that, I was taking an English lit course. Different instructor. Not the fun and not the charming professor we have right now, but a different professor altogether. Excuse one quick second. I didn't want to cough in your ear or cough in your face, sorry. During that time, I was discovering what it was like to go back into college again and deal with the students and deal with the classwork all over again. Because it had been over 30 plus years, and I had to work at great length trying to get back in the rhythm of things. And it took me a while, but I did. And became my brother's caregiver at the same time, 24/7 on that one. Not the easiest damn thing to do either. Thank God in the middle of the night he wasn't waking me up asking for pomelos or bacon and eggs, but maybe a store run or two. Rare one at that. Do the store runs during the daytime, before or after the classes, actually after classes. But still, whatever he needed in the middle of the night, I'd have to do, including walking dogs. Probably an idyllic kind of lifestyle, I'm saying, but you try taking care of adults, taking care of your family members as a caregiver. Some of the stuff I had to deal with. But I understand about being narcoleptic and insomnia as well. When you get totally close to your family, so tight that when the bonds are cut loose, the grief and pain are a hell of a lot worse, and then you can't concentrate anymore. Your whole mental attitude changes. You can no longer compartmentalize anything and everything. When I was a lot younger, I could do that. Shove it all in the back of my head. Not deal with it. Just focus what's going on ahead these days. And just power through. Power on. Because the family needed my help. The family needed support. Everything had to be the family. Everything had to be for the family. It was family or not. You busted your ass trying to get a job. You busted your ass trying to keep a job. And schoolwork was either trying to get a career advancement or just for personal enjoyment if you actually had the time and the chance for that. That's what I did. Except for me, it was career advancement. I'd wasted all that educational situation before I got into the full-time world. I can't go back to work, but I can go to school. And since I already saw how my brother Dammer got himself killed in school at his age, I decided 2 classes at a time, focusing on just 2 subjects at a time were heavy enough. And then I'm able to get through it. The subject matters we were talking about in class, English literature, of sleep deprivation. Yes, I know that too damn well, too. And at my age, which is about 20 or 30 years older than you folks, except maybe 1 or 2, the instructor. You need that extra time for yourself to take care of other matters at home. Going to school part-time may be a fun-time gig, and sometimes it is. And I do miss going to school full-time. I busted my ass like I've seen other people do it. Eventually I'd be moving myself up to that stage. One last Hail Mary semester of 4 or 5 classes. Kill myself finally. But I've been doing it 2 classes at a time in order to pace myself. Knowing that the matter that I keep studying and the material that's being presented offers more challenges to me as an older adult than it does as a younger adult. The younger adult being younger, faster brains. Not an aging, old, decrepit fart like mine. In reference to Professor Jennings' point over here concerning about her material issues she's been covering. I'm grateful that we hadn't covered any subjects concerning about death. Thank goodness. But I've had enough of those kind of poems concerning about death because I've been through. Not fun. So let us hope, fellow students, that for the next several weeks we'll be able to get through and then hopefully say to each other, thank God. Maybe we'll learn something, maybe we won't learn something, but hopefully we'll get through it and hopefully pick on the next class that won't exactly torment us too damn badly. But then again, an education is not a torment, it's a blessing. and to be happy to look at as such. It's an adventure. I'm having adventures over the past, I've napped nearly 6 years. Trials, tribulations, emotional wrecks. I can look outside in the morning and look at the sunrise and actually see poetry in motion. Not the traffic that we're seeing on the freeways, not the traffic that we're seeing on the city streets. But I'm seeing poetry in motion in the form of nature presenting itself, coolness of the morning, streaming clouds in the distance, covering the mountain landscapes. I'm seeing the white covered tops next to a harsh desert environment. It always kind of reminds me of those pictures I had seen so many times of the Old West, of the old desert regions. How ethereally beautiful it is. I had been in cityscapes, I had been to the coastline. I had seen what beautiful beaches and ugly beaches look like. But I go into the desert and I find, expecting to see, I don't know, because I didn't expect anything to see anything when I'm in the desert. Except Joshua trees, scorpions, and Mojave rattlers, coyotes, lots of coyotes. But what struck me, excuse me, what struck me the most is seeing a landscape in the morning, or during the daytime when the clouds start rolling in. You feel the power of nature. You hear it whispering through the winds. You smell it through the breezes, like desertology. It's an ethereal feeling sometimes in the morning, just waking up and looking around you. Imagine yourself living in a bowl all your life, not knowing what wide open spaces would mean, not knowing what a precious beauty that you'd see rising early in the morning. Actually seeing a sunrise, not through tall scrapers or reflected off of streets left and right, or coming through bowl areas that you didn't even realize that the small valley that you existed in for nearly all your life was just a bowl. But a flat landscape with some jagged edges just for show. And you see it coming over the horizon. It's red at first. Turns out to be orange. But the clouds are just right. The aurora will sneak right through the clouds, give this kind of streamer effect. Angular. A centerpiece with rays coming out of it. Not coming through portions of neighborhoods, but a landscape. Some people just don't understand what feeling that is early in the morning. Because you may be growing up really or oblivious to the damn thing. It's like living in a bowl. I lived in the San Fernando Valley most of my life. That's the bowl. And through mountain ranges, you'd already seen the morning coming down. But I'm talking about a nearly flatlined area, despite the trees or maybe a little bit of a hill. You'd see it come up. Or even at night, so you see the full moon rising up slowly. Somebody just slowly rising it up with a hand. And you see the full moon, that's reddish tint because of a lunar eclipse possibly, or just as an orange ball. It's whiter and whiter as it keeps rising up at night. Leaves chills down your throat. You feel the cold spot in your back. But you don't hear the coyotes at night. These are the things that you have to look at poetry in motion. How about a hummingbird that is about 1 foot away from you, or at least 3 or 4 inches away from your face, standing still, and you see it. You feel its wing beats. You're looking at it, looking at you, fooling about it, and it's gone. This is what makes poetry alive in each one of us. Because we're able to understand finally what the author's trying to tell us. I thought I'd share that with you. So let's hope we have a great semester, what's left of it.